Hello.
How are you?
The truth or pleasantries here in Sunshine?
I think we need the truth.
You mean about how it hasn't worked and how, it hasn't been accountable and how it's only been through my constant follow-up that we're even at this point in Sunshine? Didn't I speak to you directly, I believe a few weeks ago about, the problems that I was having and everything else, and you said you would work on it, and
You didn't speak to me about any specifics. You said you needed to speak with Victor.
right,
He
and
was
that you would
out
be
that
doing
day.
that, correct? And it's amazing, I'm still back here. Are you Rick, by any chance?
I am Rick.
Wonderful. Maybe we can go over the stuff that you sent me that was incorrect, the representation that was made that was incorrect, and go from there, the intelligence fixing, and ask the questions, that I've been asking all along about the 45-day rule, due process, the fact that it's rigged and I couldn't get my questions answered when I first came in, and why I'm still having to go through this in Sunshine so that I can continue to expose the truth and tell the truth. So where can we do this? And
We're going to do
videotape.
it right here. If you'd
Oh,
like to
wonderful.
record, you can start with your questions.
Okay, my first question to you is that you had written to me and you had basically said that you became aware of my communications, and as soon as you did, that you went ahead and then scheduled my IDRs. When did you become aware of my communications?
It wasn't until Victor actually brought it to my attention that your complaint, it was a complaint and not a communication. I guess initially when it came in September, it was logged in as a communication.
And so does that mean that when I was there at November and notified the task force that nobody heard what I had to say?
I can't speak for the task force.
But you can understand the question.
I didn't hear the question because I was
Okay, well, let me
at that
repeat the
meeting.
question then.
I'm
Let
telling
me
you
repeat
right-
the question then, so that we're crystal clear. Here in Sunshine, at what point did I fail, not to submit the complaint accurately and correctly? And because of the failure, that it was lumped into communication, and hopefully you didn't do this to somebody else, after that September initial thing, and of course the follow-up emails where I asked for an acknowledgement of receipt that I never got, and of course we'll broach that issue also. Then for me to go to the November meeting and bring it up, and for no one to follow up, was there nobody competent there also, or what is the representation? At what point in time did you guys realize that a boo-boo had been made on your part?
What was the exact date, Victor?
We received the email on January 8th, 2014. That's when I became aware and started doing research on the emails.
So we started working January 8th.
So my saying that everything that happened in my November saying in front of the task force, the full task force, and it's on video, nobody could follow up from me saying about, the fact that I had these things scheduled properly and everything else at that particular point in time. The previous administrator couldn't contact me. Nobody could until, of course, I continued to follow up. And then, like Mr. Young says, he became aware of it on January 8th.
Correct.
So basically, you guys dropped the ball.
It's not, Mr. Garza, it's not really dropping the ball. I mean, yes, we made a mistake.
Well, a
We get
mistake
that.
or
I
a mistake? I want to understand what you're saying.
have
Did you?
owned that.
Pardon
You
me?
submitted a complaint. We logged it in as a correspondence. We
Okay.
have since remedied that. You are
No. What is your
encouraged
definition
to-
of remedy?
It's sitting.
Did I get it scheduled within the 45 days that I sent it in
No
September?
items
So that is not a
in-
correct definition of remedy, sir.
No items in Sunshine are being scheduled within 45 days, Mr. Garza.
In 45 days, so that
I
if he
have
became
actually
aware of it in
referenced that in
January,
3 different emails to you
so
the
that
last- in the last week.
if he received it in January, does that mean that by the end of February it should have been heard if that was the 45 day?
No items in Sunshine are being scheduled within 45
Of when?
days.
It obviously wasn't scheduled 45 days of me
Actually,
sending it
since
in
2000
September.
It's since 2010. There have been no items.
Well, mine
that have been
hasn't.
scheduled since
Mine
45
wasn't.
days. Nobody has.
Oh, and that makes it right.
Nobody has.
And that makes it right. What do you mean you don't know?
There-
Isn't this Sunshine? Isn't it supposed to happen within 45 days? Is that not the policy?
And it's not going to happen.
Oh, it's not going to happen. So
It's not
when you
gonna
break
happen.
your own policy, you're going to sit in judgment of others.
It's not going to
Well, wait a minute. You're here sitting in Sunshine to make sure that other people comply with Sunshine, and you break your own policy, and it's just not going to happen, and nobody's supposed to ask questions about this in Sunshine and hold you accountable for that.
The items, we have a backlog of items. I've explained
And
that
why
in
is that?
various emails.
And why do you have a backlog of items?
There
Did you have a
varies.
nuclear winter at any particular point in time where the Sunshine Commission had been closed down for months?
I don't know anything about a
You
nuclear
don't know
winter.
anything about that.
No.
Maybe you need to talk to Angela about the 6 months that they were closed, or the prior administrator, or any of the people, about
What I've
that.
explained to you, Mr. Garza, is your
Yes.
item is currently in the queue, and it will be scheduled tentatively for May 7th.
Well, wait a minute,
pending
how is that
approval.
45 days after,
I've already explained to you, no items are being scheduled.
Well, wait a minute, then
45
am I not
days.
being denied due process?
Then you should file another complaint.
About another complaint?
Certainly.
So I am being denied due process at Sunshine.
You are not going to be able to get your hearing.
So I am
within
going to be
45
denied due
days.
process.
Correct. You are
And
gonna be
Sunshine.
denied.
Because
No
the
items.
Sunshine people
You're
couldn't
not alone.
schedule. Oh, and that makes it right.
You're not alone.
Oh, and that makes it right.
There are no items that are being scheduled.
And that makes it right. You don't comply with your own bylaws and rules, and us, the victims, the complainants, just because you can't do that, it makes it right, because now it's happening to everybody else in addition.
There's nothing else I can tell you about that. I've already explained it to you.
You have, and I haven't accepted your explanation.
I'm sorry.
Well, sorry as in state of condition, or sorry as in apology?
Sorry, there's nothing that can be done about it.
I don't believe that. You mean you couldn't schedule quicker,
No.
meetings or anything? You couldn't put other people on it?
You're in the same queue as everybody else.
Ah, the
Currently
queue
work-
that doesn't work and it's not accountable to its own
You're
rules.
currently working and scheduling things that were done in August, so your item that was
I
submitted in
totally
September-
understand that, and how is that allowed to happen in Sunshine?
You don't, though, Mr.
What
Garza.
hope does people have, to come to Sunshine to get quick results from an IDR? How fast is an IDR supposed to be filled?
IDRs are supposed to be filled in a day.
Correct. And now, if they haven't fulfilled that IDR, in September that I sent in, no, let me please finish.
Sure.
You're now not going to even schedule me till May, even though I've done everything correctly, even though it fell through your inept system, and we're supposed to just accept that in Sunshine.
You're in the queue like everybody else.
And we're just supposed to accept that in Sunshine.
You can file another complaint.
We can file another complaint into a system that's not accountable. Because when you come and you try to ask questions, you don't even receive answers. How is that humane?
I've answered your questions.
Oh, did you?
Is there any other questions that you have?
Well, then let's move on to the second part. I've got plenty. You said here that, in November, when I got in front of the people, that they didn't have to speak back, or anything like that. So then how is that being responsible and accountable to me if they don't have to speak back? Because these are the issues that I was bringing up about the September IDR that you're now telling me is not going to be scheduled till May. Oh, and of course, it's not your fault. And of course, the victims are just supposed to understand because we're supposed to be civilized. And naturally, your preamble says that government officials are constantly trying to hide from the public, the correct way of doing things. Well, you guys are just as guilty of it then too if you're sitting in judgment. But let's let other people decide on that. So the question is, what about the acknowledgement of receipt that I asked for in all my follow-ups? To when I filed my initial IDR in September. Does that mean there was nobody competent here to
Are you
read that?
speaking about when you talked to the task force during general public comment?
In addition to that, each and every time that I followed up, I asked for an acknowledgement of receipt through my emails and never
So
received
which
that.
one do you want? Which?
Both answers.
Okay, so the first question is during general public comment, there is no response from the task force. That's your opportunity to air your concerns.
Really, how come when the last time in one of the videotaped meetings that I have, hearings that I have, they spoke back to, I believe it was Mr. Grossman.
It's up to the chair.
Oh, so it can happen.
It's up to
So
the
your
chair.
prior representation that there is it was not really the accurate truth, was it?
But they don't have to.
But of course, but the prior representation wasn't the accurate truth. They can.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Isn't it wonderful? You can spin your way and I can spin the reality and the truth. So I could have been answered. But you chose not to.
You're
And
saying that I
continued.
chose not to.
Well, aren't you representing the task force? Are you the administrator or is he the administrator?
Victor is the administrator.
Thank
and
you.
I supervise Victor.
Wonderful. So I've gone to all the correct places, asked the correct questions.
And I've given you answers.
Right, and answers I don't accept because they're excuses. They're not answers.
You don't accept them.
Of course,
I've
because
given you the answer.
you haven't complied with your 45-day rule. That makes you a hypocrite, does it not?
Is there anything else, Mr. Garcia?
No, I think I've quite pointed out about the Ministry of Sunshine and how it works. So what about the receipt of acknowledgement on my emails? Was that another boo-boo too?
Receipt of acknowledgement. Did we submit receipts of acknowledgement when we come in?
When we do process them, we send acknowledgement letters out. However, in this case, we did not send those acknowledgements out until we processed it as a complaint,
Which was January 8th.
approximately that time.
So all the prior emails that I sent in asking for acknowledgements of receipt, for me following up
They were listed as
correctly,
correspondence.
they were addressed correspondence. Another boo-boo that you guys made. And of course, aren't going to be
And I
accountable for,
strongly
because
suggest that
I'm
to
the
you
person who's going to have to suffer the consequences.
For future.
Oh, for
that you
future.
indicate in your subject line.
I believe I did that
Whether
correctly.
it's a
Would you please show me
complaint.
where I didn't?
Where does it say that it's a complaint in the subject line? Show me.
You show me. You're the one who's alleging I didn't.
Does it say complaint in the subject line, Victor?
Does it say ask request for hearing, which is what it's supposed to say? The one that I originally sent in. Oh, and also the packet, the 14,005 packet with DPH,
Yeah.
which you said wasn't in that packet.
On page
When I opened
40.
it up, the
It's on
PDF,
page
correct.
43.
I already looked it up. It doesn't have, page 43 is an empty document on 14,005. I wrote you back about that, I believe. So, what does it say, Victor? Immediate disclosure request on the subject line for a hearing regarding immediate disclosure request, yes?
This
Forward immediate disclosure request. I have it all.
The title on the communication states hearing of IDR and official misconduct for 1024 IDR. It does not state complaint or communication in that title.
So wait a minute, complaint? I thought I was supposed to request a hearing. That was how I was supposed to file a complaint.
In my email to you, I strongly suggest when you submit complaints in the future that your subject line actually states complaint. Or if you're submitting,
Oh, okay, as opposed to requesting a hearing,
it doesn't say request a hearing, it just says hearing.
hearing request, is probably what it says. Anyway, thank you. I now need to know, so you're telling me that now I won't be scheduled until,
You're tentatively scheduled for May 7th, pending the chair's approval.
and what does that mean? If the chair doesn't approve, it's not going to happen May 7th either?
Then it will go to the next month.
Then we'll go to the next month. So basically, me having requested everything correctly in September isn't going to be heard maybe till May or June, which is like 9 months away, for an IDR
It's
that's
tentatively-
supposed to be filled within 24 hours.
Tentatively scheduled for May 7th.
And this is supposed to provide us, the public, with a resource that's accurate, that works, that we can use, to get what we need and requested timely.
It's tentatively scheduled for May 7th.
I know that. That didn't answer the question. Are we going to get what we tentatively requested timely?
It's tentatively requested for May 7th, once we finalize.
So
that
once,
May
so
agenda,
now that I asked for
you
my
will be
IDR
notified.
in September, 24 hours later, I'm going to get it, a hearing tentatively in May, and that's timely.
As far as the IDR, that has to do with the department. We're talking about the complaint. You need to
Yes?
separate the two. Mr.
No,
Rizzo.
I don't, because I asked for the complaint hearing properly, and you guys are the ones who didn't live up to that and didn't schedule it
else I can
properly
say
or
about
anything
that,
else. So
Mr.
I don't
President.
need to live up to
I've
it.
already
You need to
explained
live
it
up
to
to
you.
your failure.
I've already explained.
And so have I. And the YouTube people are now learning what the game is. So, yes, I will
Anything
continue
else?
to follow up. No, I think this is adequate, and
Okay.
I will post this to YouTube along with all the other questions and everything else, and let people acknowledge what's happening at the Ministry of Sunshine.
Have a great day.
Oh, it can't get any worse. The truth is bad enough. Why lie? Thank you. See you on YouTube.